What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Research Tuesday. And today we are not going to dive into a research article. We have the man that is responsible for every fast 40-yard dash that has ever happened at the Combine, Mark Gorscak. And Mark is responsible because if you are not familiar, if you do not hold it long enough, Mark will blow the whistle and you will not be able to run your rep. Mark, thank you very much for joining us today. I am extremely honored for you to join us.
Hey, thank you very much. I'm honored too. But you guys tell everybody it's the pink whistle, okay? It's not a black whistle; it's a pink one, okay?
Oh, you got a pink whistle. Okay.
I've been having it for 21 years now. So
Really?
yeah, I've been doing it for 22. Former GM wanted to kid me around and said my whistle wasn't good enough. They had a P on it, and it was black. And he sent me whatever at Fox 40.
I was about to ask. Every strength coach wants to know: is it a Fox 40?
It's a Fox 40, but because he wanted to kid me around, he sent a pink one.
Oh,
And
really?
he didn't think I was going to use it, and I've been using it now for 21 years. So that's the nature of the pink whistle. Some people said I should start a bar and call it the pink whistle.
That's actually a great name, and joke's on him because he tried, poking you, and you're like, oh, really? Now the joke's on you.
Hey, I wrote him a kind letter and all that stuff, and he called me up. He goes, "You SOB." I said, "Man, you started it." So yeah.
That's awesome. Everybody that's listening, we were talking off air and we spoke last week. You're from Pittsburgh, though, like the Steel City, super tough. And I heard your background and who you are from the episode that you sent me. Can you give a brief introduction because you've been around the block and your intro will help lead the questions that, I kind of have for you about your upbringing as a scout?
Well, hey, my dad was a U.S. steel worker, grind all his life in the mill. My mom was a waitress, and if I can tie a train into it, it'd be a great country and western song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could.
But I started out, I'm a still working kid, and I coached for 16 years from high school, small college, Division III, 1AA arena football, and network, and got into the National Football League, the Steelers. But I'd lived so many places. You know how it is through football.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have a resume, you just have a map of the United States, and you go, yeah, I lived here, here. Lived here twice. I really liked it here. That type of thing. So I'm a common guy. I'm a grunt, and I was born. I didn't have a golden spoon or a silver spoon. I was more like a plastic spoon or a spork. Okay. So it just paints hope for everybody that they can make it too. If I can make it, they can make it. And God shined His light on me so many times that I've been to 4 Super Bowls, won 2, made lifelong friends every place I ever lived, and I lived a lot of places. And one of my biggest claims to fame is I made Joe Montana famous.
Really? How'd you do that?
I was this high school center guy. Be nothing without me.
You're right. You're the one. You're making all the checks too. And if you didn't get him the ball properly, he wouldn't be able to do it.
It was Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks on their podcast. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but they had Joe Montana on there, and they're former scouts. Okay, Move the Change is the podcast, and they said, Joe, we'd like to give all your accolades, but we'll run out of time. But we have one pressing question as former scouts. Was Mark Gorscak really your center, and was he any good? And Joe had the right answer. He goes, yes, he was, and yes, he was good.
That's awesome.
I laughed. I was running 4 miles, and I just listened to the podcast just to hear what they were going to ask Joe, and that was the first question. I almost I could have went to the bathroom in my pants laughing so hard, but I had to finish my 4 miles. So
yeah, and you and I were talking last week. Like you run, everybody listening, he runs 30 miles during the week.
But it's 20 miles.
Sorry,
maybe sometimes a little over that. And I try to run 5 days a week, and I do kettlebells 3 days a week. And this is what 67 looks like when you take care of your stuff.
Dude, so, I mean, you look fantastic for 67. You should be proud of yourself.
Yeah, I couldn't pass the NCAA, NFL drug test. I'm so supplemented up, so I'm okay.
Just make sure it's NSF certified, and you'll be good.
Hey.
And now you wouldn't have to worry about popping positive on any of those.
I'm not working the league, so I'm okay.
So one of the first questions that I had, and I think will help a lot of strength coaches, is what can strength coaches do to best help their athletes prep for the day? Whether it's at the combine, like what can we do best to serve them from your perspective?
It's pretty easy. teach them how to learn how to do the drills correctly and don't cheat them. That's the biggest thing. You see all the time at every workout, pro days, combine, whatever. Some strength coach figure out the angle to the 3-cone where he had them do different angles to go ahead and hit the turn to go around. And it was like, really? We want to see change of direction, not these angles. And it's like, okay, where'd you learn that? Oh, my trainer taught me. Well, obviously, when you're doing these angles, you're covering more ground, so I can't understand how you're getting a better time. Just learn how to do the drills correctly. It's like, short shuttle. They're all taught what? To lane, put their middle finger down, not their hand down. It's like, come on, man, just do the drill
Just touch the
correctly.
line. I didn't know that.
Yep, yep. Well, you know how it is. We're creatures of habit, and we have historical data based upon doing it correctly. And some of these strength coaches or trainers, they decide, well, we're going to figure out how to cheat the drill. Well, why don't you figure out how to do the drill correctly? I had one strength coach. He was slick as all get out. I don't want to mention the school or the guy, okay? But I'm going into the indoor to go meet with him, and him and his assistant are teaching how to do the short shuttle. And I'm watching it. I'm like going, hey man, this is pretty slick. What they're doing is they have to touch the line, okay? And so what they're doing is they're putting their foot on the line and then reaching down, touching their toe or the side of their foot. And it happens so quickly, it gives you the appearance that they're touching the line, but you're really touching their foot because it's more of a natural motion, okay? It's easier to go ahead and go down the side of your leg and touch.
Yeah.
Okay. Then it is to touch the line.
Yeah.
And I'm like going, man, that's pretty clever because they were doing this, because you do it so fast, it gives it appearance that they touched the line, but they were touching their foot. And it was easier because it's a natural motion because your body's in line with that. Okay. And I said to him, hey man, that's pretty clever. He goes, what? How you're cheating that drill? He goes, I'm not teaching cheat the drill. I said, I just watched you.
Yes, you are.
Then the 42, people don't understand that, and it's it's online for God's sakes. You could YouTube me here in the instructions. Mike Weinstein from Cybex Sports, he has it on Twitter. I did it. I did 2 takes for him. The first take I did was perfect, except he had it on photo instead of record, and then the second one he had it on record. But that's online too, so everything's there. And also the 2 lines at the combine. The first line's 4 inches. The space in between is 4 inches, and the second line's 4 inches. So it's 1 foot. So for you strength coaches out there, you want to know what the distance is for the lines. 4, 4, 4 equals 12. That helps you out because it's just a matter of getting it right. And with proper training, and I'm seeing more and more proper training now than I ever have in my entire life, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Where they're actually learning to stay in for 3 seconds.
Good.
The DBs and the wide receivers in the old days were so jumpy with it. Now they're the best ones.
That's awesome.
Oh no, I had wide receiver group 8. I put it on Twitter. They had a ton of hits. They were perfect. I never blew a whistle.
I saw you post that. Yeah, you were like, hey, it was awesome to see, like, perfect group.
I never seen it before. That was the first time in my 22 years of doing it. It was like, wow, man. So the strength coaches, my hat's off to you. You're getting a lot better at teaching things correctly.
That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, I was very privileged to have learned from Coach Doyle on how to, run the reps and do the reps. And it was the same exact way that I taught all my athletes, at Towson afterwards. So any of you coaches out there listening, yes, learn how to just do the drill. Don't because here's my follow-up question though, to the touching the foot thing. Like, did they actually get away with it? Or how did that, what was the end story to that?
No, not with me anymore.
Because it's like, why not just touch the line? Do it.
And I told people too, I said, hey, man, here's what they're doing here. And they go, I said, watch. And then people start catching them and they, hey, man, you got to touch the line. You can't touch your foot.
And that's another thing too. Why were they teaching that day? Because especially nowadays, I mean, this is just hyperbole talking out loud, but with how many, student athletes are not playing in their bowl games, it's like, you've got a whole extra month to prep now. You shouldn't worry about all that. Just, run it, do it right.
I know, but everybody tries to figure things out. We're a society of round cookie cutters. In other words, we're
Oh,
going to cut corners.
yeah.
Give me the guy who still uses the square cookie cutter, because I know he's doing it correctly. Like I
All
said,
right.
too many round cookie cutters now.
Fouling off the first one, how can strength coaches best interact with scouts when scouts are visiting or when they're on pro day? Like, what's best practice? And I have a follow up to that after you answer that first one.
Yeah, it's to be as truthful as they can, and sometimes they're limited by the head coaches and also by HIPAA laws. Some head coaches don't want you to know what their players are really like. They're trying to protect them, trying to shield them. But you're going to find out in the long run anyway. Because if you become, if you develop relationships within the building itself, okay, people will tell you the truth. They may not say it in a group setting, but they may pull you aside, or you may see them at practice. Hey, let me really tell you, okay, because you built that relationships, and that's really important. It's like Tommy Moffitt. I'm sure everybody knows Tommy. He's one of the greatest of them all, in my opinion. I used to have a sign on his uh, door. Okay, right. He had big picture window, so you look out into the weight room. He had a little whiteboard there. He goes, "Scout, NFL scouts. I will not talk about the following players," and he would list names on there. Sometimes it was one, sometimes it was four or five. You take note of it. Most of the time, it wasn't an NFL prospect, but they were young guys trying to educate them about, hey, man, I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to put your name up here. Do you want your name up here? It's particularly if it was a junior and that time period, it was sketchy about them coming out and all that stuff. Now it's more prevalent, it's easier, and everyone talks about the juniors now.
Yeah.
But Tommy would have that out there, and some of the best strength coaches out there. When I was scouting, and I just recently retired, I call it a graduation though, because I'm continuing doing things. I'm going
Yeah.
to do the Big 12 Pro Day. I'm leaving tomorrow for that because I helped that out, and I'm going to do the 40 there. And I did the Senior Bowl in the fall. But Tommy's one of the best. Kevin Yoxel,
Yeah.
and we was at Auburn and several other stops. He was super to work with. Matt Ballas from Notre Dame, Mississippi State. Ben Herbert. Ben's really good in Michigan. Now he's in the league at Chicago. Garrett Guillemot for us, the Steelers. And what made all those guys unique was that they were truthful, but you could talk to them about training. They were creative, about spirituality, about life, and I really like talking those subjects. And you could talk with them about that. So and you could tell they were doing it with their players too, to gain trust. And I think that's important. That you just can't talk about ball all the time. You got to
No.
have other passions. You got to figure these people out and vice versa. And I want to share my life, and they want to share theirs. And I think it's really cool. And that's how you develop the relationships within the unit, within the groups. So, yeah, that's just me.
Now,
That's
how
something
about
I believe in.
on pro day when scouts come in? When I was at Iowa, and I don't know what it is like now, but as the strength staff, Coach Doyle was running the drills and we were helping set up. But is that the norm? Should strength coaches expect that the scouts are running the drills? Like how does it normally work, and what is best practice to recommend to all of our listeners out there?
Usually, scouts run everything. If the strength coaches can have all the equipment ready, and don't, and, we're creatures of habits. You can measure out the 40, we're going to measure it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, that's pretty redundant, but we, creature of habits. And if you can have everything set up and all that stuff, and then let them remeasure. But what was good about Doyle was he always did the vertical jump, and which was cool because the vertical jump's the time consuming one.
Yeah, it is.
Because you got to get the reach.
Yep.
But scouts can do all that, and the coaches also with the drill work and all that. But that's the biggest thing is just have everything prepared and ready, and be able to ask questions, and also keep the players in line.
Mm.
Okay, keep them in a group. Go ahead and warm them up for the 40. Okay, I'm very compliant. Whatever time you need, I'm gonna give it to you because you never want to have anybody pull anything. So, but let them run the warm ups and all that stuff, and then from there, let us take over. But keep them in line. Help us in the 40. Okay, call out the names. Because all the scouts are timing, and I may be starting or I may be timing. It all depends. But call out the names of the players and keep them in order. That's important. We at the combine we have group leaders that 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 lead the men around. And that way everything's in order. And that's important. But if the strength coaches can do that, that's it in a nutshell.
How about for us? I think the world has gotten more unilateral training. Maybe some programs don't even do a back squat, or they don't bench press for certain people for whatever reason. Is that hurting the prospective athletes if we don't have like a squat, bench, deadlift type numbers to be able to give the scouts, so that way you can bring that back? Or again, how can we do our best due diligence for the athletes we work with?
Uh, it's your program. You got to do what you want to do.
Okay.
I'm a big proponent of that. We're going to get the core numbers. The vertical, the shuttles, the broad. Bench may become obsolete here after a while because they're doing a little pressure plate. Doing a push up to force up.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of people are opting out of bench right now too because they don't want to go. They're competitors. Two things happen on the bench. They're competitors. They may rip something, or they're competitors. They're not in shape to do it, but they want to do it. And that's how some injuries occur. And that's become an a la carte item at the combine and also pro days now.
Yeah. Speaking of a la carte, one of the questions that I thought of as you were just saying that, like, should we be telling our athletes, hey, you should do it, should not do it? Is it frowned upon if athletes are not doing certain movements? Just again, us be able to give them the best piece of advice.
To me, if you're in that top 10 picks, your film is so good.
You need CEUs to remain certified. At Strength Coach Network, both of our long form education courses, Fundamentals 1 and Fundamentals 2, both have 2.0 CEUs to the NSCA in Category C. When you complete the learning and you complete the learning check, you will earn your 2.0 CEUs. That is 33% of the CEUs you need in a 3-year reporting period. Click the link down below to learn more about both courses. If you're looking to train your athletes in person or remote, you need to make sure that you're utilizing TeamBuildr. I have had TeamBuildr since 2019 and still utilize it with my remote athletes. This makes everything simple, from the ability to program, have videos right there, wellness questionnaires. Loved being able to have it in person at the rack at Towson, and being able to have it in person now at Goldfinch. This has made my life easier as a coach. If you're still printing on paper, I don't know what you're doing. If you have a different software company, again, I don't know what you're doing. Check out TeamBuildr down in the link below. Hawkin Dynamic is the best option if you're trying to get any force plate data, or if you're trying to collect any isometric mid-thigh pulls. Not only can you do isometric mid-thigh pulls for the lower body, but I call it an isometric mid-thigh pull for your upper body, where you're able to do an isometric push-up into something where your back is pushing into a bar and your hands are on the force plate. I utilized Hawkins force plates and Hawkins software when I was at Towson. Still utilize it now when I'm at Goldfinch. If you're using the other competitors, I don't know what you're doing. Hawkins customer service is second to none. Hawkins software and their hardware, again, second to none. Check them out in the link down below.
If you're opting out, you're opting out. That tape's really good. Lamar Jackson didn't want to run the 40 because he said he was fast. And you looked on tape, dude was fast. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, if you're not in that top 10, top 15 picks, and you want to work your way into that, you should do everything.
That
Does
makes
that
sense.
make sense?
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
It also, those are the special people in the draft. The rest of them aren't special like that. They may become real special. The TJ Watts, pick 30,
Yeah.
defensive player of the year. He just won another award a month ago, the 101 awards. He was defensive player in that, but he's been defensive player of the year, sack leader and all that stuff. He was a 30th pick. So that's different, isn't it? Than being a top 10 pick.
Yes.
And TJ worked his way up into the first round. And there's other examples of young men that need it. Marshall Neal, and I cited that example on the other pod that you listened to. Everybody had him as a free agent coming in of Western Michigan. I was scouting for the Senior Bowl, and I'm watching the first 3 tapes. And the first game was against St. Francis, PA, but he just dominated. Just one double A, he should dominate, but he killed everybody. And he scored a touchdown as a short yardage fullback, for God's sakes.
Huh.
And then in the next game, he was lights out again. I forget who it was. It was the division, a Power 5 team. And then he had another one. I told Jim Nagy about him, and Jim goes, "Well, he doesn't have many stats. It's Pro Football Focus, Greg, which I don't believe in anyway. But it helps you sort the tape out, though.
Gotcha.
It's really good for that type of stuff." And I said, "Hey, man, disruption is production." And that dude played his way into probably a third rounder,
Wow.
in my opinion. I'm hoping he goes higher. I'm hoping he goes in the third round, but he's going to get drafted. But, that's something. He had to go ahead and perform at the combine. He had to go ahead and perform at the Senior Bowl to get up that way. The Toledo corner, Quinion Mitchell, I believe that's pronounced his name, first rounder. But he had to go ahead and participate and do everything at the combine to ensure the fact that he can creep into the first round. Now you see all these mocks. He can go anywhere from 15 to 20 now.
Wow.
So whether that happens or not, it's a mock.
Yeah.
I know they do it for. I know those mock analysts. They do it for a living. I just do it for a hobby. I get that too. Trust me. But those people need that type of stuff. They need to do everything. And at the pro day, you need to do everything. Because you need to go to combine to go ahead and participate and show your skills. Pro day, you better do everything. You can't be that dude. I don't want to run the 40. Oh, why not? You need to go to combine. You think, how high you think you're getting drafted? But sometimes young men get bad advice.
Ooh.
And that just you better have good mentorship. You better have a good agent. You better have a good strength coach. You better have a good position coach. You better have a good coordinator. You better have a good head coach to advise you. You better have good parents. You always got to realize it. We're in the age of social influencers, right?
Yeah.
It's usually some hot chick or whatever, or some guy with some crazy thing to do. But the bottom line is the greatest social influencers of all time are still the same people. It's the person who raised you, your parents, whoever that may be, your grandmother, your auntie, whoever, because today's parental situation now, it's all different. You may have two, you may have one, you may have an aunt, you may have grandfather, you may have a coach. That's the first one. Teachers, preachers, and of course the coaches. Those are the biggest social influencers ever, and it stands to all time. So those are people I'm going to listen
to. Hearing you talk about those players and the success that you had, this is a question that I just thought of as I was listening to you talk. What have been some of the most common traits of the highest performing individuals that you've had the privilege of seeing, whether it be as a scout, in the organization you worked for, or just from, collectively?
Competitors. That, competition, not shying away from it, running towards it. Those are the things you notice about players, the people who want to compete. It's like they jump into things. They jump into drills, whether it's at a workout or you watch practice. Who's first in line? Who's counting? Okay, I want to go against him because I know I can kick his butt. But there's other guys who are counting and go, I don't want to go against him. Hey, may I get in front of you? I want to go against this guy. I want to go against the best. Mitchell, the corner from Toledo, he went against the best every day at the Senior Bowl. Mike Tomlin told him that too, and at a corner, and they just fought tooth and nail. And that's what you're looking for: competition. Who runs towards that? Who's a competitor? And you can point out, oh, this guy was fast. This guy could do this. I want who wants to compete. Because sometimes you could be a great workout guy.
Yeah.
But do you compete on tape? Do you compete practice? That's me. That's like a wide receiver from Texas who ran that 40 real fast.
Yeah.
I wish he would have did everything else.
He did
everything else. No.
Oh, he did. I did not know that.
He was going to do it as pro day. But the 40, I blew the whistle on him the first time because of the fact that he didn't. He quick started. Okay, then he did it right the second time, and then That time came up on his second run, and it was 4:25. So now the crowd's like anticipating, and he's all pumped up and jacked. And so they had about 10,000 fans in the end zone. And so, second 40 run, blew the whistle on him again. I got booed by the crowd. I thought it was pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
man, I'm getting booed, man. That's pretty cool, man. I'm telling the table next to me, Mike and his wife that had the laser timer and the handheld starter and the guy from NFL Network. Man, that's pretty cool. I'm getting booed. And then when he took off, the sensation from not the start, because a lot of people build the speed from that 20 to the 40, and we timed the 10 and the 20, then the 40. I wish I would know what the 10 to the 20 was, because that was when he burst. And it was a sensation I've rarely ever seen. I was like, wow, that guy's fast. And there's a couple seconds delay, and I can look up on the scoreboard because they're showing it up there too, live for TV. And I saw that 10 to the 20. I went, wow, that was something else. And that was a great experience. And for you strength coaches out there, when you watch the tapes of a person running the 40, count how many steps he does it in.
Yes.
And, fast guys do it between 18 and 22 steps. Some guys are short steppers. I get that too. Some guys are ground pounders and all that stuff. And I'm sure those are terms your audience can relate to. But Kelvin Johnson was close to 6'5", and he did like a 4.39, 4.3, whatever it was, 4.34. I can't remember that time period because that was a while ago. But I took the tape afterwards, and he looked so smooth that he looked slow. Because you know how those long guys, they look slow.
Yep.
Mike Evans, I kept telling Kevin Colbert Mike Evans is fast when he played at A&M. He goes, oh, no, he's not that. And then he ran like a 4.39. He goes, hey, I got to apologize. He was fast. But those tall guys, those long striders, they run so smooth, they look slow.
Yes.
Okay, so Kelvin did it in 18 steps. A couple years later, we had this these three young dudes. They were like MIT or somebody. I don't know where they were from, but they were doing some type of force vector or something and all that stuff. So they had a table set up, and it was behind the wall, so you weren't in the way. And I told them, hey, you guys sit down, can't move during the run. And then I said, what the heck are you guys doing anyway? And they go, well, we're doing force vector, this, that, but you wouldn't understand. Oh, okay, sorry. I'm dumb. Sorry about that.
Yeah, what was that for? There's
smart,
no need for that.
And I said, you ever count steps? They go, why would we count steps? I said, all I know is that, fast guys do between 18 and 22 steps. So we had Dree Archer. He ran really fast.
Yeah.
And we drafted him. He wasn't very successful in the National Football League, but he was fast. Well, he did it in 18 steps, and he's only 5'8". Calvin's 6'4", 6'4" plus, and he's 5'8" and a little bit of change. So when that whole run was done, these three guys come up and goes, he did it 18 steps. He did it 18. I said, because they were filming it too. I said, well, who did it in 18 steps? And he goes, Dree Archer. So, strength coaches count steps in the 40. See how, fast guys, 18 to 22 steps. That's all I know.
Mike Boyle has been saying that actually for quite some time now, because I remember reading that when I was either at Harvard, helping Coach Frazier with his athletes for pro day, or it might have been when I was but like, I specifically remember Mike Boyle talking about that for a while now. Like, so strength coaches, this is accurate, and he's right, because if you're putting more force into the ground, right, it's stride length or stride frequency. And if you're putting force into the ground, it is that simple. You don't need to go and get all these different gizmos and gadgets and insult people like Mark, saying that you wouldn't understand. Like, what is that about?
I'm wondering if I told Mike that.
You might have. Like, it might have. Like, and here's the thing with Mike, because I remember he said this before. He's like, listen, if somebody has an idea, or if I steal something from them, he goes, I give them credit for 2 weeks, and then it's mine. So he might have given you credit for 2 weeks, and then he might have just stole it and said, like, all right, it's mine now, Mark. Like, sorry.
Knowledge is supposed to be shared, so I'm cool with it. So
Um, can you educate us on the different level of scouts so we can know? So that way it's like we're not that you treat people differently. That's not why I'm asking this, like, oh, you're a low. No, I'm not saying that, but just to better understand the demands of the scout where, okay, maybe I've heard the word blesto. I don't know what that means. Regional, like all those different words, just so we can understand the workload better. So that way we can relate to the scouts better during the process.
well, the people who come visit, particularly if you're a school with a lot of prospects or top 10 prospects, there's still general managers out there that go out and scout. Kevin
Okay.
Colbert used to go out and scout when he was our general manager. Now there's a new trend where they don't leave the office and all that stuff except for pro days, but there's a lot of general managers still scout. Okay, then you may have the director of pro personnel because your school might be near a city that he's going to do the advanced scouting for a pro game. So they try to let those guys see some of the college guys so you can make a comparison, create the data bank yet, or keep their data bank fresh with young versus the pro players. Okay, plus you get another set of eyes, and he's experienced. You'll have college directors who are going to look at all the top guys across the country. Okay, you'll have national scouts, and usually there's several national scouts, and they're more like some may have half the United States, west of Mississippi, east of Mississippi, north, south, or however they decide to go ahead and do it. Then you have the area scout that you see on repeat offenders are going to be in every year.
Yeah.
Then you have the combine scouts, and that's national scouting and Blusto. And what they do is they're the people in charge in the spring that do your junior pro timing day. They create the list for the fall. Blusto's an acronym used to stand for Bears, Lions, Eagles, Steelers Talent Organization. Then it became Blusto V. And now some of those teams aren't involved. The Eagles aren't involved in it anymore. Steelers are still involved in it. Okay, Lions are still involved in it. Vikings are still involved in it. But and then the national scouting, they also put on the National Invitational Combine one in Indy. Okay, but that's kind of like they're two entities, but the same people involved. But they start the list for the fall for the area scouts and everybody else in the entire organization, just so you know what you're dealing with. And then if you're a smaller school strength coaches and you only have like maybe 4 scouts show up, 2 scouts show up, 3 scouts, there's a thing called ATP. All 32 teams belong to it. It's called Association of Talent Professionals. So if, say, you only have 2 teams show up, one's designated as ATP, and they're going to give all that information to all 32 teams because you can't be everywhere all at once because there's so many pro days.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
So don't feel like you're getting slighted. It's just that you don't have that many prospects or not that high enough prospects. And we're going to share that information because everyone can't be everywhere. So
yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense in helping because we have a wide range of listeners, whether we have Division 3, Division 2, Division 1, 1A, 1AA. So we've got the whole gambit of coaches. So that's information that can really, really help a ton of coaches out there.
Yeah, and they have that college relations site. I had one young man call me up and he goes, "Hey man, no, we don't have anybody coming to our pro day yet." And I said, "Well, I'm not working for the Steelers anymore, but I'll help you out." And I said, "Did you put it on the college relations site?" He goes, "What's that?" I said, "I know you have. It's someone in your office or someone who was doing it left, didn't tell anybody." So I told him call up the NFL offices, get on the web, get the passwords, get on the website. Then I alerted national scouting because there's a person there that's in charge of ATP. He correlates all the information, John Griffin. And I told Griff, I said, "Griff, man, this school is having a pro day. Right now, they don't have anybody showing up." He goes, "I'll get right on it." And he had a team show up and do their pro day. Because they were part of it. It was their ATP school. Every NFL team, they get a list of so many schools they have to cover. Okay, for ATP, even if it's say Pitt, Steelers are going to cover it. even though you're probably going to get almost all 32 teams a pit, if
Ooh,
not 32 teams a pit. Does that make sense?
yes.
But they're still in charge of putting all information, giving it. And that way it becomes a checks and balances if there's more than one team someplace. Because they're going to put their 40 times in, all their times. And so say you're one of the teams and you have a split in a 40 time,
Yeah.
one high, one low,
Yeah.
you can check APT. What do they have? And some guys are notorious slow timers, scouts, and some are notorious fast timers. There's a mechanics to timing, but
Yeah.
people think, okay, I pressed the button, I stopped the button. No, it's like, okay, what's your stance? There's a stance involved. Some old time scouts get their stopwatch, put it around their neck with the string, hold it real tight, hold it like this, and use it as a sight right here. Boom. Okay, old school track coaches. I learned this from Kevin Colbert, and give him props because he did it. He learned from track coaches. Put it over your heart. Boom.
Huh.
Everything's still. But then when you watch young people time these days,
Yeah. I don't know what
hand
that's
moving
about.
all
That's
over the
weird.
place, or they got a beat to it, and it's like, oh God, I'm taking his. I asked him for his times. He's late. He's fast. So it's like, but then what your next motion is? Boom, you start. Okay, just one motion, just this finger, not the thumb. Okay, boom. Then your next motion is, I'm going to pick out a spot across the way. It's going to be the same spot I'm going to look at every single time. Okay, and the first movement, the first body part that crosses the 40, I'm stopping. Some people go, I stop at the midpoint. No, you're not. He's already through the line, because by the time you stop it, he's through the line. So if the first body point may be a hand,
Knee.
may be the nose, okay, might be an L, whatever. By the time you stop, it's probably midpoint, because it's like that. But you have to pick out the exact same spot opposite you every single time. Okay, and it should be right down the 40.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're in line with other scouts. Okay, there's other scouts on the other side, and you're over here, and you're watching it. It might be the logo on the guy's chest, because he's going to be in that same position every single time.
That's a good point.
Because he's a creature of habit too. So you focus on that one spot on the guy in the front. It might be the temple of his glasses. It might be, whatever that little spot, but you do it every single time. You develop consistency, mechanics of timing. I don't know if strength coaches know that or not. All I know is I've been to high school football camps at major colleges, and when they time some of these young men, I don't think they give a darn about it. All of a sudden they're at a camp. I had a couple family friends, and I went to watch them. And I knew all the college coaches that were there too. For the high school camps, and I'm watching them like, oh God, this is some bad times here. Because there's just mass production. They're starting to watch or turn like this, talk to somebody.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, God, man, this young man may be faster than what you just gave him.
Yeah, you could have just ruined his prospect, his potential. Like, that's not fair to the kid.
Or you may got him fast and he's really not.
Ooh, that's a good point too.
But it's consistency in what you do and everything you do.
Now,
if you're a chef, you better be consistent how you make things.
So my question then to you is based off of that. The way that I was taught is, if somebody was running from my right to my left, and I'd get on that line, I'd straddle the line and have my arm straight out ahead of me. But I was taught to close my outside eye. So that way it was just the inside eye.
Yeah. Okay. You keep your outside eye. Okay. The inside eye, because.
That's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah.
Okay, because peripheral vision, I can't see it till right here, so my margin of error getting distracted is here.
That's a good point.
Okay, here you can see your hand way out here. Okay, and then the other thing was, back in the old days too, agents used to tell the players to run close to the guy as possible, give them the flinch. I forgot to add that part of mechanics of time. I'm glad you brought that up. See, you're smarter than average bear. You're in Yogi's and Boo Boo's class. See?
Oh, I paid attention. Listen, like
Yeah,
if I
but
had the
that is
information, I was going
correct.
to write it down and learn.
But that is correct. But I remember agents used to tell the players, run close to them, get them to flinch, because those guys didn't close their eye. You start to flinch, stop the clock.
Huh.
Again, learn how to do the drill
Learn how to
correctly.
do the drill. Don't cheat the drill, folks.
It's pretty easy because every coach says that to every player. Don't cheat the drill. Don't teach the drill, right? Every strength coach, foot on the line, touch the line, right?
Exactly.
When
And
you're
then now
running.
all of a sudden that goes out the window.
Yeah,
That's a great point.
it's so stupid sometimes. Yeah, I just shake my head sometimes. It's like, oh
I didn't
god.
even think about that. That's a great point. How about, so like you said, you did this for 22 years, 21 of them with the
20,
pink
20
whistle.
yeah, the 40, yeah.
Yep. So you've seen tons of trends. You've seen technology of different this and the different coaches and the
Oh,
athletes.
different
Like,
stances,
yes,
and
like
they some of them are so tight, and they have them lean forward like it's a hair trigger spring, and they can't hold the stance because they're leaned over the line. And uh, back in the old days, Dion did some training, and he had them do they were some of the best starts. This is a long time ago when Dion was doing it. Sanders.
yeah.
Okay, prime time.
When
And
he was running it or when he was like training people for it?
he was training some people, and their
Really?
stances were on point. They had their body weight, they were balanced, and they were really good. But now everyone's getting training, and for the most part, the training is pretty consistent. Some people still lean over the line yet and can't hold it. And some people are just hyper anyway, personality wise. So I had one young man, he was so hyper, and he was hyper afterwards. It was like, I said, he said, oh, you blew the whistle. You blew it. I said, yeah, because you quick started every single time. I said, you didn't get your train. You got a trainer from Walmart, man. Go Target or something, man. Come on, man. Get better training. So, but
That is fantastic. So, like, okay, so without going into too much detail, let go ahead and say, like, hey, make sure you're not doing 1, 2, 3 and like some general things you should be doing we have a lot of listeners that are young strength coaches too, that this might be the literal first time that they're hearing this, whether they're an intern or a GA. So it's good for them to hear. And obviously for our older strength coaches that have been in the field for a while, what would you say top 3 to do, top 3 to make sure never to do?
oh, we already covered it. Just do the drill correctly. That's all.
Looking to expand your education further, but you don't want to pay the massive fees of going back to school? At Strength Coach Network, we have 2 long form education courses that both cost less than one course taught to you by an online school. If you click down below to learn more about Fundamentals 1 or Fundamentals 2, you will be able to sign up for our education course that has over 20 hours of educational content brought to you by some of the biggest names in the field: Dr. Brian Mann, Zach Daycant, Jeff Moyer, Terrence Kennel, and many more inside of this course, all for less than the price of one course at a college university. Are you expanding and need more equipment inside your current room? Or are you building a new weight room and you need to get some equipment? You need to look no further than Powerlift. I had Powerlift equipment when I was at Harvard, Iowa, and at the University of Maryland. I'm currently utilizing their stuff right now. I'm telling you, Powerlift strong, Powerlift made here in America, here in the great state of Iowa, made, manufactured. You have the ability for customization, whether it's on the bench, whether it's on the upholstery, whether it's on the bumpers, across the rack. There are countless options, making sure it's designed to your specific brand. It's Powerlift made, it's Powerlift strong, it's not cheap like all the other competitors, and the people inside of Powerlift are people that you want to be with. Check them out in the link down below. Are you or your athletes waking up too hot or too cold in the middle of the night? Or are you looking for a sleep tracker option that doesn't involve wearing a ring or a wrist or a watch, something on your body? Then you need to look no further than the company SleepMe. SleepMe makes chili pads, which keep your bed cold or warm depending on what you want. And they also have a tracker that will go underneath that pad so it will be able to tell how well you slept. When I did a little study on myself with the Aura Ring and with the SleepMe tracker, they were within 97% of each other, and it was actually pretty astonishing how similar the two were. I love my chili pad. It makes me sleep great. I sleep cold. I actually wake up cold now. I haven't woke up warm in pretty much ever since I've had it. I don't like sleeping on the road because I don't have the ability to use my chili pad. Bunch of former colleagues back at Towson got it. My stepmother got it. Check it out in the link down below.
Pretty easy. Just don't you want to do everything correctly in life?
Yes. Yeah.
Like I said, use a square cookie cutter that where you're not cutting the corners.
And he
You
already
know,
said it, everybody. Like you can go and literally see it on the X or the YouTube where like
yeah,
literally explain it.
Zybex Sports has it on Twitter. I got the long snapper from Pitt Cal, and we did it because he was the only guy running it, and he came out early, and Mike, who does the laser timer, he travels around, does all kind of stuff with all the high school camps and all that stuff, and he shows it to them. So it's on there. I want. It's no secret, man. I want everybody to do it right. It makes
You
my
want to
life
never have to blow
easy.
you never want to have to like you never want to blow the
Oh
whistle. Like
no,
and to everybody else, like I had this conversation with Mark when we talked on the phone. You might think it's like, oh, it's an easy job. It's like you are literally have a potential kid's livelihood in your hand to make because they're like you said, that kid at Texas, he only did the 40, right? And now everybody's talking about it. And I was the starter when I was at Maryland working with the Terrapins for 2 years. And like you gotta be fair. Like you can't and you should be fair, right? But I'm just saying, like human nature, it's like you can't just be like, oh, that kid from Texas, oh, he had that time. Like the fact that you were like, yeah, cool, I'm gonna get booed, but like I'm not gonna cheat this. Like so, a kudos to you for that, but b everybody else understand like this is not exactly an easy job. I'm not saying that you're just sitting back there like, oof.
no. It's when they first put it on TV, and that was like my second year, and they go, "Okay, you're gonna wear this microphone." I'm wearing what?
Yeah, I'm
You
true.
know. And then there was cameras all over the place, and it was like, "Hey man, could you move over a little bit? I'm trying to work here." I had a camera by my foot. It's like, "Hey man, move over a little bit." Okay. I had a position camera guys, so they're not in the way. A guy was delivering lunches to all the camera guys, walking down the middle of the 40. He had a pair of Beats on, must have been noise canceling. He's bebopping down, carrying lunches. I blew the whistle. He keeps bebopping. Finally, he's about the 20-yard line. I go, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" "Jumping off lunches." I said, "No, you're not. We're non-union right now. Get out of here." "Okay, we're running the 40. Oh, I could tell stories, and you can Google things. I had some corporate bigwig one time. There's a little landing up there, and I try to keep that clean. The red coats there, the ushers are really cool. Okay, they're really good people in Indy. Okay, and they help monitor that for me. Corporate bigwig comes down there. He's all suited up. He's standing there and he's making noise. He's standing. Got his cell phone on, with his light on. He wants to record it. It's in my eyes. It's like, what are you doing? I say, "Hey, Instagram guy, you gotta get out of here." That went big on Twitter, Barstool, all kind of stuff. But my stance, everyone makes fun of my stance because I
Why?
look
What's
like
your
the
stance? Aren't you
I
just
I
leaning forward, sitting in a chair?
no, I stand, I have my hands on my knees, and I look like the eye back in Nebraska eye in the dive option. Uh, and because I frame my hat over the player so I don't see anything above it, no distractions.
That's awesome. Why should anybody
That
give you a hard time about that?
Well, because I bent over, they asked me, "Man, is your back hurt after doing all those starts?" I said, "No, I'm in shape."
I take care of my
But
body, bro.
yeah,
Come run with me.
but everybody likes to make fun. They go, "Man, that's your back hurt, man. It looks like it's hurting you." And me watching it looks like it would hurt me. I don't know. But that's why I stand that way because I crouch down, and then there's a mechanics to what I do, and I wrote it up too, because one day I'm not going to do it, and I'm going to have my successor make sure. So I get in my stance, I frame the player, I check the hand's in place, I check the foot, okay, then I check the offhand,
Yeah.
the hand is off the ground, and make sure that's still to start 3 counts. So, because some people, they think they have 3 seconds, but it's the offhand where they're still
Yes.
moving it around.
Yes. Yep.
I always tell them, if I say offhand, it's the hand off the ground. And that's, like I said, you guys can see that online. You guys can Google that stuff and find it and all that stuff. But there's a mechanics to that too. There's mechanics to everything, right? It's like I always tell young coaches, I said, what's the first thing you teach? And if they don't say stance, I said, yeah, I wouldn't hire you because everything goes from stance, right?
It really does. And like for me personally, what I've taught, and we've shared this inside Strength Coach Network in the membership site, but I put together a presentation on 40 pro day training. And I would do it where we would get 3 days of doing your start. We would do an acceleration day, a max velocity day for the 40, but you get extra practice work when you do your L drill of getting more and more work out of that stance because it is that important.
Yeah, make sure you teach the right stance. Don't have them lean, okay? Put their hand down, not their finger, middle finger on the line.
Yeah,
It's
no, just like bend and touch the line. Like, and that's the thing too. The reason I put the webinar together is from everything that we taught at Iowa, we had, notoriously been
you
having
guys were
guys,
always really good. You
right?
guys were
Running the
consistent
L
in
drill
everything
and
you did.
thank you. Appreciate the kind
Consistent in
words. We
everything you
took
did.
pride in that. Like our guys, like even the big guys, like Logan Lee just recently, like, cause I know the technique is still the same. Like get to the L drill, the first 5 yards and 5 back, you should get there in 2 steps. And then
Who
the
was the old Nebraska strength coach? Epley.
Boyd.
Yeah, Boyd. I caught the tail end of his career when I was doing Nebraska. And he had the best technique. Okay, he did everything correctly in the short shuttle. At that time period, we were doing just a short shuttle, and we had a 4 cone we did, which was a bad drill.
Huh.
But they were the fastest at that time period. Like you knew they were going to have outstanding short shuttles because he had it down. He taught it well. Credit to him. Of course, he was above. He was way ahead of his time.
Yes.
Back in that time period, talk about creative guy. He was the guy to start doing, videotaping motion and things of that nature too. The players and form and he was way ahead of his time, but they were the fastest back in that time period.
So I just wrote it down hearing you say that. It was a four, like, I guess I didn't know that there were other drills that had been evolved. What were they? First question. Second question, do you see an evolution of getting rid of certain drills? Just hypothetically, 10,000 foot view. And if you're like, hey, I can't answer, that's fine too.
We had the 4 cone where you were in a 3-point stance. You ran, and then I think it was karaoke, back pedal, and then turn, sprint. So boom, 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 boom. Okay, and I had to run it my first year as a rookie NFL scout. It was me and Gary Smith. God rest his soul, he's passed away and all that stuff. And it wasn't a very good drill, And what happened was C.O. Mercado, and God rest his soul too, he invented the 3-cone. And then everyone started adapting to 3-cone because it was a change of direction drill, more suited to football. And so that's how that evolved.
Got it.
And I still have an old chart from CO that, with what he had thought was superior times by position, but now it's obsolete now because through training and all that stuff, they're a lot faster. But we're creatures of habit, and we have all this past history based upon these drills. So will we change? No. Will we add some? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, will we change some of the drills? Like we make DBs run the gauntlet drill to combine, and we time it also to make it competitive because some people would jog through it because they didn't want to have a drop.
Oh.
So now we time it and it becomes competition again.
Was it not timed before?
No.
So
And the DBs were doing a frivolous drill. A back pedal and catch and back pedal catch. They had 3 catches, and it was a frivolous drill. It was in a short area, and it was like, we're getting nothing out of this. So we decided to go ahead and make the DBs do the gauntlet. Now they only do it once. Receivers do it twice, left and right. Okay, but the DBs only do it once. But we time everything now, and make it competitive. Again, competition. The little things you could do to make a player competitive is important. Case in point, probably the worst drill, in my opinion, to watch is a D line doing get offs. Okay, they got the ball on the stick, or you got the GA of the ball, and he has everyone up. Okay, to me, it's just a waste of time because some of these guys are doing it fast, some of these guys aren't, and the coach, he can't look at everybody to see it because he's doing like, maybe, groups of 10, 12, sometimes it's, the whole D line, just to get through something. To me, that it didn't have a purpose. You're taking away the purpose is how quick can you go? Mike Tomlin, to his credit, he'll go and watch that. Okay, in our Steeler practices, but he only makes a D line, D line coach or the edge coach run two at a time, and he'll call out a winner, and he'll film it, and then he may say, okay, we're going to have who can win out of the MAC, because we had a lot of MAC players. Okay, Power 5. Who won? He would call the winner. Then he'll go, okay, the winner of the Power 5 versus the MAC. Competitive, make it a competitive drill. So things you can make competitive, and that's why the gauntlet, we start timing it. But because we have all this past history, we're starting to understand things about GPS that the strength coaches give us now. And then, the catapult and the other systems, Zebra and whatever, all the other systems. And they started to go ahead and break that down from the start, to the middle, to the finish.
Yeah.
So it's more relatable now. Just you build the speed like the 40, 10, 20, 40. Okay, will we go strictly by catapult? I doubt it, because we have too much past history. We're creatures of habit in past history. It's a measuring stick. And everybody wants to watch the 40. Everybody wants to brag about their 40. Most people brag about what? Most people lie about what? Height, weight, 40, sex life, right? That's what everybody lies about. You know what I mean? By the time we get done, you ain't got many lies you can tell us. So but that's something to think about.
So with the data, I remember, and you will know this better, Indy used to be AstroTurf, right?
Still is. This is field turf.
Okay, so they never had just like I was remembering back.
It was Astro. It was Astro in the old RCA dome.
Yep. And then
changed, it became field turf. It became field turf in there.
Yeah.
And now it's still field turf. But the thing is, it's a fast track.
Is it?
And everybody should want to run an Indy because of that.
That was my question.
Yeah, I would. And then it's easier for us to relate to data too. Because man, I've been to some of these universities that $1 million complexes, and
$10 field.
Yeah, their field's terrible. They don't groom it. They don't take care of it. It's slow. One school, we couldn't run in the indoor. We had to go run outside.
Jeez.
And it was about 42 degrees outside and windy. And we're running outside because it's a faster surface. The grass is faster than their indoor. Shame on them. Now think about that. No, we're going to run outside. It's cold out there. We're going to run. No, it's faster out there than here. Okay. So, all this money you spend, and all of a sudden you got bad turf, right? Or whatever synthetic surface you may call it.
We're coming up on
Indy's consistent.
We're coming up on an hour here. And like you said, you're going down to the Big 12 Pro Day, and so we want to respect your time. What would be some kind of just closing thoughts to wrap this whole conversation up in a bow for, again, best advice for strength coaches that are listening to us? We have athletic trainers, physical therapists, anybody in this team working with potential prospects to help them go to the next level. What is your kind of
one of the topics you sent me was the recovery modes. I think we need to touch on that because the nutrition, the sleep, the yoga, the cross training. Like Ben Herbert, he has programs for each position that he does. So everyone, sometimes we do a blanket program for all people. Well, man, sometimes you got to go by position, okay, and cater to what they're doing when you're training them. Yep. I'm not talking about skill work. I'm talking about running, lifting, things of that nature. And if you start looking at these all-star games now, they got recovery rooms. They got better nutrition than they ever had before. I had worked the Senior Bowl, and I saw the nuts and bolts what Jim Nagy does, and the food's much improved nutritionally wise. Recovery, they have rooms, they have people. I did the HBCU combine, and that's run by the National Football League. Rob Noman and his group, they do a great job with that. And they had a recovery room for all those athletes, which was cool as all get up. And they had good nutrition also, and I think that's important. The recovery rooms, the nutrition, the specific training, and I just think it's important that we continue progressing with that, and that's what your group is doing.
Yeah.
You got to be creative. You got to go ahead and explore. You got to go ahead and research. You got to go ahead and learn. Everybody says sleep now is the big thing, right? And I try to get more sleep. So
Yeah, no, sleep. I mean, sleep is absolutely huge. And we're actually, I have I've had a chili pad on my bed since COVID. I bought it when I got my stimulus check, and if you've never heard of it,
yeah.
like all it is, it's a topper that goes on top of my mattress, and it helps keep your bed cold. They partnered with Florida State because obviously it gets hot down in Florida, and like I'll tell you what, that has definitely helped my sleep. And
Oh,
it's interesting to hear you say that about the different recovery because you've seen a lot of it. You've seen the evolution
well,
of it, like because back
uh,
in the day, people they didn't talk about sleep. They didn't talk about stretching and recovery, right? Like you were soft if you did that, correct?
yep. And then you start looking. LSU's always been cutting edge too, by the way.
Yes, they have. Jake Flint and his staff have done a great job now, and Jake has talked with Tommy, and Tommy's come in, and now that they're going to be
Well,
competitors.
and Jack Mariucci, the trainer, he's so ahead of his time. Now he just deals with sports science. And when they designed their new locker room, they got sleep beds. Like you could, their bench that they sit on to go ahead and change and all that stuff. You could pull it out. You could take a nap there, man. You can lay down vertically.
Oh yeah,
Just little things like that. There's just so many improvements, and some of these schools are on cutting edge of a lot of different things. And bad part is the National Football League's not. The National Football League, they want the colleges to perfect all the technology before they take it and use it. They don't want to invest any money into it. They'd rather, okay, you guys do all the catapult, and we'll decide. Now, the National Football League, everyone has a catapult on.
yeah.
Okay, pro scouts will get the catapult of the players and games now, include that in scouting reports. The technology has grown, but hardly they want the colleges to develop it, and then they'll use it. They
Huh?
don't want to put the money and research in themselves. So you
They have
guys
the
are
R and
you
D.
guys
Yeah,
are cutting edge. Your audience is cutting edge. Okay.
appreciate that. And appreciate you coming on. I mean, not only just for you, what you've done for the combine and for scouts, but as a man of faith and just continuing to put out good stuff and having a. I mean, I've had a blast being able to talk with you for an hour. I feel like I could talk with you even more. But like I said, I want to respect your time, knowing everything that you have going on.
Oh no, I enjoyed it. I like talking football. Okay, and the thing about you guys, your pod, and also the last pod I did Neil Stratton and Roderick David. You could go on my Twitter handle and listen to it. They're not asking for dirt. They're asking about ball, about life. You asked about football and life. And that's why I like to talk about. I'm not here to give dirt on people or anything
No,
like
that's not
that.
what we're here to do. Like,
I'm here. I'm here to educate and give information to help young men, help coaches get better because these old time scouts, they dug all those wells I drank from.
amen. I mean, there's a reason
You
I
know what I
kept
mean?
talking about Coach Boyle and Coach Doyle and Drew at Maryland and Frage. Like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, right? Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
be where I am without it.
hmm But if anybody wants to look at it, see the other one I did, it's really easy. My nickname is Gors 55 at
We're
Gors 55.
Yeah, we're gonna link everything below, and we're gonna tag you in, all the posts. So, Mark, thank you. Safe travels tomorrow. Have a
I
blast.
appreciate you.
Should have a really good time down there. And yeah, thank you, and God bless.
You too.
Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. Why don't you celebrate by watching more videos just like it? You can also help us on our quest to placate the algorithm gods by liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. Thank you.